So sometimes when I'm drinking a martini cocktail, I ask myself, what came before the martini? Was there something better? I mean, it reminds me of the Big Bang. What came before the Big Bang? Well, let me introduce you to the Martinez cocktail. That's a cocktail with a Z at the end. It's sweeter, it's richer, it's more herbally, it's more accessible. It's really a great drink. It should be in your repertoire. Think of it as the original martini recipe. It's the OG of martinis. I've got a great recipe coming up on how to make the Martinez cocktail at home. I've got a pro tip for you. It's got a weird version of the gin, and I've got a way to make it yourself if you don't want to buy a bottle, if you don't have a bottle. So stay tuned for that. And we're going to go through the history of the drink here on Tuesday Night Cocktail Club, and I've got a lot for you, so stay tuned. This is the channel where the pro bar meets your home bar. Hit subscribe to join the club for fresh content every Tuesday. Remember, no paywall, no dues. So let's go through the history of the drink. It's an interesting story here. It probably was associated with Martinez, California, which is in the north, as you can see from the map here. That was a way station for gold during the gold rush in the 1850s, 1860s, and miners would stop there. There is a story about somebody coming into a bar there and making a request. David Wondrich, in his encyclopedia guide here, talks about that story, and but can't really confirm it. One thing we do know for sure, it does appear in Jerry Thomas's 1887 guide, and so that's the first real reference to it. By the way, Martinez it's a little known city. I think the naturalist John Muir was born there, and my favorite, Joe DiMaggio, was born there too, so it does have its own history. Anyways, it is the part of the whole story of the growth of the martini. There were various versions of it where you changed the amount of vermouth that was in it compared to the amount of gin. But the big thing about this drink compared to the modern dry martini is that the gin, what was used back in the mid part of the 19th century, was sweeter. It's Old Tom gin, and so I have a way to sort of make that yourself when I do the build here. You know, in the start of the 20th century, gin became drier. The method of making it went from pot stills to column stills. That was part of it, but they became less sweet. And you couldn't even buy Old Tom gin for a very long time. It was revived by people like Haymans of London. I think there's one, Ransom, I may not be saying that right, in Oregon too, that people talk about. But those are the gins that are around now, the Old Tom gins. Like I said, I do have a pro tip on how to make it yourself, so I'm going to talk about that during the build. But that's what happened. They stopped making so the drink kind of went away, and it really, the only version really that lived on in the most of the 20th century was the dry martini. But this version kind of came back through the cocktail revolution, and boy, these other brands came on. So I got my glass here. It's really an equal parts cocktail, so it's equal parts Sweet Vermouth, and then the Old Tom gin. And then you've got a quarter of an ounce of the Luxardo Maraschino Liqueur. And it also calls for a little bit of Angostura bitter, so I'm going to put 2 in. And then you mix it. It does not have any citrus in it, so you stir it here in the glass. Has a nice aromatic quality to it from that Luxardo. And then I've got my coupe here. And then, so that's good. And then I've got just strain it into the glass. And then I've also got my garnish of orange peel. So give it a little spin. And there you have it. there you have it. It's very silky. The vermouth always makes it silky. It's very herbally from a Luxardo. It's balanced. It's not too sweet. It's not too dry. The Angostura really helps. It's interesting. I tried putting in addition to the Angostura, I made it another version where I added mezcal, a few drops of mezcal as a bitter, and it made it smoky. And I like the pairing of the smokiness with the Luxardo, so that was all really good. So here's a pro tip for you. If you can't find the Haymans or you don't want to go out and buy it, you can just use London Dry. I use Tanqueray, which obviously is very juniper forward. I use an ounce, say it's an ounce of that with a half an ounce or maybe only a quarter, depending on your taste, of simple syrup in there. And it really brings up the sweetness. It becomes a very much like a digestif more than a base mixing element. But it's very good, and it really does substitute well for the Old Tom if you can't find it. Anyways, that's my pro tip. So there you have it. That's the Martinez cocktail. It's really the OG Martini. But anyways, thank you for joining in here on Tuesday Night Cocktail Clubs. We post videos every Tuesday, so like and subscribe. And please comment. I got a question in there about the alternative bitters, so check that out. And come back next week. Have a great week. Thank you, everybody.